Uh, the demo and the show and tell is in two parts. Uh, I am going to invite Vasant. He's a co-founder and CTO of Commotion. And Vasant is going to come in the second part of the demo. In the first part of the demo, I'm going to show you what all Bhaskar showed in terms of our IaaS capabilities, the PaaS capabilities. But the highlight of my demo, the first part, before I call Vasant, is to actually showcase to you a live setting up of a deployment of a Kubernetes cluster with L40S GPUs. L40S GPUs, as you are aware, is a general purpose GPU from Nvidia, which can be used for training smaller sized large language models, 2 billion parameter and below. And it can be used for inferencing at scale and running your AI ML algorithms. So I'm going to set a live Kubernetes. I'm going to deploy that right now in front of you. Parishit, my colleague, is going to help me navigate through the screens. And then I'm going to hand over this Kubernetes cluster to Vasant, who's going to take over from me and apply all the tools which Bhaskar took us through. He showed us the AI-rich capability set of AI Studio. So he's going to take those tools in AI Studio and use those tools to actually use the GPUs, underlying GPUs, which are in the form of a Kubernetes cluster, to build a live use case. So he's going to build a live use case with agentic workflow in a CX situation, as in customer experience situation. He's going to create a hyper-personalized campaign use case using Gen AI. So that's what we're going to do. So the first part, I'm going to take you through, walk you through quickly. So if you see the dashboard here, Bhaskar emphasized the unified nature of our Vayu cloud. So if you see the high-level information with a consolidated view of your workload deployments across the various environments, whether it's in the public cloud and the multi-tenanted cloud, or your edge, or your Vayu private cloud, all that is available in one single pane of glass. So you can orchestrate, provision, observe, all through this, through all these environments with this single pane of glass through role-based access with RBAC, full RBAC. I'll quickly go to our platform services before I dive into the main show, which is to actually live set up a Kubernetes cluster. Bhaskar talked about our data platform and our platform as a service, the rich capability set. So you can ingest at scale, you can use our database services, whether it's in-memory database like Redis, whether it's SQL database, relational databases like Postgres, whether it is RabbitMQ and Kafka kind of flow databases, or you want to run your DevOps through Jenkins and GitLab, and more importantly, also use Hadoop infrastructure to manage your unstructured data, right? So we have volumes and volumes of unstructured data, and Bhaskar said data is king. So the ability to handle that unstructured data through our Hadoop infrastructure, and also Vayu Cloud Storage, which is our supermassive object storage. Then I will go to Vayu Cloud and actually showcase. But before I deploy the Kubernetes cluster, I just wanted to quickly show you how it is very easy through a few clicks to deploy virtual machines on, on the fly. So a typical enterprise would have, we have created this environment for you. A typical enterprise would have business units. It's got departments, and within departments are nothing but environments, and within departments, there could be some small set of users, so subnets. And if you go to the right, you can quickly launch a VM. We have already created a zone for you because it would take time. So because of the paucity of time, we have already created a zone. So if you go into the zone, through this screen, you can create a virtual machine on the fly. You have various OS images. You have versions available, the flavors available for this. And then you can assign, enrich this virtual machine with IP, with backup, etc. But what I want to show you is actually deploy a live Kubernetes cluster. So why don't we go to Kubernetes cluster? If you see, we have various versions available, but we have taken a default version right now. Let's name it. Let's give the cluster a name. And then, very importantly, you can see enable for Vayu AI Studio. So what we are essentially doing is deploying this GPU cluster and making it available inside the AI Studio so that an AI ML engineer can start using these GPUs and start using these GPUs. What Vasant is going to show is take the data sets, deploy it on top of the GPUs, do the fine-tuning, and build the use case. Then we enable a persistent volume for that cluster. We also enable a backup because you want to take continuous backups. And then what we will do is create auto scale, which is very, very important because when you're inferencing or even doing batch processing or training, you might require more nodes to be spun up as your workload demands. So, and then what you do is essentially create a IOPS, a high IOPS. I think you selected 5, and also a persistent volume of 500 GB. And then we can go and spin up. Let's go down. And then review all the parameters which are used to deploy this Kubernetes cluster, and let's go and deploy. While this is getting deployed, we can go to the actual AI Studio and check whether it's this Kubernetes cluster with L40S GPUs. 4 L40S GPUs are getting deployed. So you can see that L40 GPUs is already deployed. If you go to services, you can see our AI Studio already available. There are a rich set of capabilities which AI Studio has. A workspace at the top gives a typical AI engineer a workspace or an integrated development environment to experiment with AI ML. And then if you go down, you have model catalog, your models registry, and model serving. So what I'm going to do at this point in time is, without getting more, I would say, theoretical, I'm going to ask Vasant to come in, actually go through all this, deploy this data set for fine-tuning on top of the GPUs we just created, and help us create that live agentic workflow and the hyper-personalized use case. Over to you, Vasant.
Thank you, Neil. Hello, everybody. Good evening. So today I'm going to show you how we can build state-of-the-art multi-agentic systems using Vayu AI Cloud, right, and all its capabilities. But before I begin, I have a question for the audience in the room. How many of you all are? How many of you have a agentic AI strategy, or you have deployed LLMs to production? Can I see a show of hands? That's okay. I think I see quite a few hands here, right? And I'm sure as you are evaluating and considering these state-of-the-art systems, right, things that are on top of your mind, right, are, like Lakshmi said, data, right? How can you unlock the power of all the data that you have in your enterprise, right? And with governance, with privacy-centric kind of capabilities, and huge volumes of it. The second consideration is obviously costs, right? How can you unlock all the use cases in your enterprise, but keep your costs low, right? The third consideration would be probably latency, right? You want to make sure that you're able to serve your customers quickly before they move out. And then finally, the last consideration is accuracy, right? Not the least, right? So you want to deliver all of this in a very, very accurate way, right? And then finally, the last piece, right, is you want to own the model. You want to own the IP to the model that you've used with your data. You want to be able to improve it, right? You want to, we all know that there are hallucinations, right? You want to improve. You want to make the model learn for use cases that it's not seen before. And so, as we consider all of these challenges, right? We've been working with the Vayu team over the last several months to address all of these challenges, right? And the way we go about doing it is looking at this category of models called small language models, right? So what these models do is they are built for your data, right? They're built for your domain, and they're very, very accurate, and they have low latencies and very governed, right? And so the way we build it, right, these small language models is to leverage all the capabilities that we have in the Vayu AI Cloud. And we leverage these small language models that we built on your data sets for our agentic setup, right? So I'm going to walk you through how we build them. First is to get your data sets inside the cloud, right? We have several connectors to all the major data warehouses, data lakes, right? A few hundred of these, right? So it's as easy as just connecting it and bringing your data set in. And then once you bring the data set in, you can launch instances. You can run a Spark job on it. You can run a Hadoop job on it. You can validate your data. You can make sure the data is clean, is prepped for all the training that you might want to do, right? The second stage, right, as you have your data set in the systems, right, is looking at seeing how can you fine-tune the models, right? So there are several strategies that are available. right? AI Studio we worked with them very closely to figure out what are the latest strategies that are there today in the market, right? So we support pretty much all of them across all the different types of models. You might choose to build a text model. You might choose to build a vision or a multimodal model. You might have multiple different base models that are available, right? So AI Cloud offers all of that right out of the box. And all the good strategies, right? So you might have reinforcement learning. You might have PEFT. So the cloud brings all of this in a nice, packaged, easy-to-use manner, so that you don't waste time in connecting with all the nitty-gritties and the open source connections, right? It's all brought together in one single unified platform. And as you kickstart your fine-tuning jobs, you want to monitor it, right? You want to see how well your training is going. Are your losses converging, right? So again, the studio has connections to the tensor board, to weights and biases, whatever you want, right? So that you can finish your monitoring and all of those capabilities. And now, once we've built this model, right? We say we've got a really small model. It's very accurate. It's on your data. It's more accurate than your GPTs of the world, right? It's really fast, very low latencies. We need to now deploy it for production scale, right? And so we use the model serving capability, right? You optimize this model for production workloads. You make sure that you remove all the variables, make it fast, right? And so the model serving capability, right? We have several backends that can support that. And it has auto scaling available, so that you don't have to worry about workloads and when the peak times hit you. And we get endpoints, right? So as soon as we get this stage, right, the model is ready to use for downstream workloads, right? It could be a simple LLM workload where you generate some text or generate an image, but it could also be used in agents, right? And so I'm going to show you how we can leverage a lot of these fine-tuned models, right, by vertical, right? So we have several. We've worked together to fine-tune these models for several domains across several customers. So we have commerce, we have airlines, we have healthcare, right? And we're working on a lot of other use cases as well. So one of the use cases I wanted to pick was what Neil showed us, right? Is how can you use a commerce very specific model, right, to hyper-personalize, right? It's every marketer's dream to do massive one-on-one personalization. But in order to do that, in order to do this effectively, right, you need to get all your data in one place, right? Your customer's data is spread across 30 to 40 different systems, right? How do you unify that data, right? And then how do you build 6 or 7 different agents, right? You have agents that can look at the data, that can analyze people's behavior. You have agents that can generate content, figures out what is the best time to send that said content, figures out how it performs so that it can learn, right? So bringing all of that together in one unified setup is what this agentic builder lets you do, right? And then once you have it, you can see the results for yourself, right? You have a person, you know exactly when they interacted with your products, what is the next sequential product that they're going to buy, right? How do you approach them? What is the sequence of emails that you need to send? And this is just one such use case, right? We power so many more use cases with this. And obviously, you're doing this on your own data. You're doing it very accurately. You're doing it in a manner that has high security, right? And it's low latencies. And we'd love to talk to you guys more about what the future holds for something like this, for a connected system. Back to you, Neil.
Thank you, Vasant, for showing us how you're using our AI Studio and AI Cloud capabilities to building next generation of AI use cases with agentic workflows.